Hello and welcome to this lecture on morphology of reversible injury. In this lecture, we will discuss different cellular injuries which are reversible, and we will discuss brief about the morphology of reversible cellular injuries. So what is meant by morphology means we need to see the gross and microscopic. So we will see some examples of reversible cellular injuries like hydropic changes, hyaline changes, mucoid changes, fatty changes, and we will discuss the gross and microscopic changes in some of the examples. Let's discuss one by one. Hydropic changes. As a name, if you see the name very closely, it comes from the word hydro. You can see hydropic. So where hydro stands for water. According to our definition, it is the accumulation of water within the cytoplasm of the cell. So in some pathological changes, there will be accumulation of water. Why this happen? Because impaired regulation of sodium and potassium. Impaired regulation of sodium and potassium. And that leads to cell swelling. Or swelling of cells. For example, bacterial toxins, chemicals, poisons, high degree burn, high fever, they all lead to the cell swelling. And why this happen? Because of the imbalance of sodium and potassium level at the level of cell membrane, and that result in the intracellular accumulation of sodium and the escape of potassium. So it means there will be more sodium accumulate within the cell, and there will be more elimination of potassium that leads to an imbalance in sodium and potassium level, and that is why the cell swelling will occur. And the common examples of hydropic changes are in high fever, burn, poison, or chemicals. When we take a look on cross section of the kidney, we found the kidney is enlarged in size, enlarged in size. Then we have the wet loop, and if you see this picture, when you compare with the normal kidney and this picture, they are showing you that the size of the kidney is become more. The size is become bigger than the normal kidney size. Then you can see it the shiny surface will appear like this side, this surface and this surface. There will be more shiny surface. The surface look like an opaque. Then we can see the weight of the organ is more as compared to the normal weight. Why? Because of the accumulation of the water content. Water is present inside, and that leads to the large in size, the wet appearance, then the shiny or opaque appearance of the kidney. So that's how it look like the normal kidney and after hydropic changes. When we see the microscopic characteristics in this slide, microscopic characteristics, the main important thing we need to understand is the presence of these small clear vacuoles as these appearance. And this is actually explained the term vacuolar degeneration. Vacuolar degeneration. And in vacuolar degeneration, we will found small clear vacuoles, these vacuoles. Along with we have compressed capillaries, this which we can see the capillaries, or we can see that the blood flow. And why this happened? Because these swollen tubular cells compress these capillaries. You can see these are the tubular cells, and these tubular cells, we know in the kidney there are different kind of tubular cells like proximal tubules or distal tubule. You already study in the physiology or anatomy. Because of, in this case, the water will accumulate more inside, that result in the swelling of the tubular cells, and that swelling leads to compress these capillaries. Here you can see, and these all part of the vacuolar degeneration. So the first thing is that the vacuolar degeneration that will be occur. That the second thing that will be commonly found in is the formation of cytoplasmic bulb. Means what is meant by bulb is the bulb is look like the out projection or the extra growth of the cell. And this section which I am showing you in the dotted line is actually the small cytoplasmic bleb, BLEB. And the other characteristics in, if you see the morphological characteristics are microscopic, is the nucleus. Here you see the nucleus. It will be the pale in color. So that are the key characteristics. And if we go back to the slides which I mentioned, the morphological features, we just take a look on the slide. Grossly, the affected organs such as kidney, liver, pancreas or heart muscles is enlarged. So the first characteristics is it is enlarged. Why? Because of accumulation of water. And it causes this organ become to enlarge. Then I mentioned already, it become heavy. The organ could be opaque or the shiny surface. And when we talk about microscopically, we already discussed the main is characteristics is vacuolar degeneration, and that vacuolar degeneration is the presence of small vacuoles. And the constriction of the capillaries because of the swelling of the tubules. Then cytoplasmic bulb, but it's not it cannot be seen so often. It is occasional. Like in this slide, there is not appearance or not presence of any bulb in this slide. If we take a look of this picture, we know that there are clear vacuoles, swollen tubules, and that leads to the compressed capillaries. But what is this big structure? Any guess? This is actually glomerulus. This is actually glomerulus. Okay, if we see the next point, the microvasculature of the interstitium is compressed due to swollen tubules. So what is meant by microvasculature? It is actually in simple terms called circulatory system, or you can say that the capillaries. So if we go back to the picture again, this is actually they are talking about that these capillaries are compressed because of the swollen tubular cells. So they are talking about the same thing, that the microvasculature of the interstitium is compressed, and it is because due to swollen tubules. Next, we move towards the next is the hyaline changes. The word hyaline or hyaline means glassy or glass. According to definition, it is homogeneous eosinophilic appearance of the proteinaceous material in hematoxylin and eosin stained section or eosin stained section. According to the definition, they are eosinophilic appearance. If we see the definition again, we divide them into subsections. One is that the characteristics of hyaline changes must be homogeneous, means it is uniform. Then eosinophilic appearance. If we see this word, we can split eosinophilic. Why we name this eosinophilic? Because eosin is the stain that has been used to differentiate different organelles, suborganelles, or cellular structures. And because we use eosin as a stain, and this training technique has been used to identify the hyaline changes, and that is why we term it as eosinophilic. It is also explained in terms of its color, because after using eosin, the color would be bright pink. So that it could be classified according because of the strain we use. Like I mentioned here, eosinophilic appearance of the proteinaceous material. What is meant by proteinaceous? It means it is a protein-like material, a proteinous material. So we can find this word from that. It is a protein-like material, and in hematoxylin and eosin stained section. So it means we use hematoxylin or eosin as a staining technique to identify the hyaline changes. It could be classified into intracellular and extracellular hyaline. We can classify them into two parts. One is intracellular, the other one is extracellular. So we can say that they can be subdivided into intracellular and extracellular hyaline. The common example of intracellular hyaline is Russell bodies, representing the excessive immunoglobulin in the rough endoplasmic reticulum of the plasma cells. So when we take a look of the example, this is the example of number one. And in this picture, when we talk about the example of common example of intracellular hyaline, the Russell body is the example that is present inside the plasma cells. And why Russell body is produced? Because of production of immunoglobulin. Because of the production of immunoglobulin. If you see this picture, maybe you will not understand this thing. I have put another picture to explain more in zoom. So actually, if you see these round structures, these all round appearance is showing you the presence of intracellular hyaline. these all round structures, or if you see in this picture same like these all round structures, they are all Russell bodies because of the production of immunoglobulins in the rough endoplasmic reticulum of the plasma cells. But now what are immunoglobulins? They are actually glycoproteins, and they are produced against any antigen. For example, when any bacteria or virus come into your body, our immune system produce these glycoproteins, and then they are in broad term is known as immunoglobulins. The common example of extracellular hyaline is hyaline degeneration in leiomyoma of the uterus, and they are classified into different kind like submucosal, intramural, subserosal. I'm not going to discuss these things in this lecture because we will discuss in detail in reproductive system, but this is an example of extracellular hyaline. And the most common characteristic that we will find is this hyaline change that is present. And then you can see this is the picture that has been drawn, and on the right side this is actually the picture that has been taken from the microscope. So this round structure that you can see on your textbook is actually, these two pictures are same, but to understand this thing you can see very clearly that this material that I am showing you is the hyaline material, and it is why we see this example as extracellular, because it is present outside the cell. Extracellular, it is not present inside the cell, and these hyaline changes can be seen around the benign smooth muscles and benign fibroblast, and the pattern look like a circular pattern. If you see this all structure cells, they are in a circle, and that's why we mention this as whole pattern. WHORLED, hold means circular, round, and because it is present outside the cells, so we call them extracellular hyaline. Whereas when we see the example of the Russell bodies, they are present inside the cells, so we term them as intracellular. You need to know these things very clearly, and we will discuss in detail this leiomyoma of the uterus in the reproductive system. So this is just an example to explain you these concepts. So no need to go in detail in this topic. Then we have mucoid changes, and the name indicates mucoid. The word comes from mucus. So the mucus will be present in these changes, and it is defined as the secretory product of the mucus glands. And it is a combination of protein and complex mucopolysaccharides. So first thing you need to understand, in mucoid change, the production of mucus will be done. And how mucus will be produced? With the help of these mucus glands. And then that mucus consists of protein and mucopolysaccharides. And I have put the definition of mucopolysaccharides as well, and because these are not related to our topic, but in general, mucopolysaccharides are the long chain of sugar molecules that are found throughout the body, and they are responsible for your lubrication in the body. Actually, they are actually lubricants, and they provide protection against the shock, and they are present around your connective tissues. Mucoid are classified into two subtypes. Number one, epithelium mucoid, and number two is connective mucoid. And for epithelial mucoid, we take an example of tumor, especially we are taking some example of mucin secreting tumors in the ovary. And when we talk about connective mucoid, we take a look of the example of neurofibroma. This is an example of epithelial mucin. Epithelial mucin. Now let's take a look on the microscopic characteristics. So we can see tall columnar mucinous epithelium. These all cells, because they look like a column shaped structure and they contain mucin, so they term as columnar mucinous epithelium, like these column like structures. Because of their appearance, we term as columnar mucinous epithelium. And you can see this is showing you the mucinous material that's created from this columnar mucinous epithelium. So this is an example of epithelium mucin. When we talk about the other example, when we take a look of the example of connective mucoid, we see the example of neurofibroma. And if you see in this picture, and these round structures, these are the soft structures arises from the nerve cells, and they are soft bumpy structure, and they are present under the skin. If you take a look of microscopic characteristics, we will find myoxide material. What is meant by myoxide? It means mucoid or mucus. So thank you so much for today's lecture. Hope to see you again in our upcoming lectures. Thank you.